Alright, guys, it's time to have a real talk here in the middle of nowhere. So, I've mentioned this. I've decided to make some videos, like a series of videos, kind of discussing reading, my thoughts on certain books, takes like that, more in general, not on anything specific. And I have mentioned this before of this topic of novellas. And some people wanted to hear my thoughts and why I think the way that I do. I do want to start with the caveat though. This is not saying that they need to go away, that I have anything against them. Well, I do, but I'm not trying to attack anybody individually or personally or anything in that manner. This is just my thoughts and impressions about novellas and why they usually do not work for me. All right, so let's get into it. Novellas. I know they're important. I know why authors write them. I know why some people love them. But they just don't really work for me as a person. So I know they're there to hook readers, to give an idea of what the author might write, what their writing style might look like, introductory to the world, introduce you to certain things, fill in the gaps, and the list goes on and on. Like there's all these positive things or what the intention is. I know it also hooks people as like, hey, you get this free novella when you sign up to my newsletter. Clickbait type stuff. And that's all great. I understand that. Here's where we get into my issue. I love to read. I love books. But to me, novellas aren't real books. They're just a short story. That's all they really are. Maybe a little bit longer than what's classified as a short story. But I find that I'm missing a lot of the meat on the bones. I've read novellas. I've enjoyed novellas. Usually I've read and enjoyed the novellas before I read the main story. Once I read that main story, if I went back and rated those novellas, they would not rate very high. I even brought a stack with me of novellas that I've read. Most of them. 2 of them I have not, 2 I have. And the 2 that I have read, I have enjoyed. So I have a Prelude to Ashes, which is a prequel novella for A Touch of Light. Have The Fall, that you can either read before or after of Blood and Fire. I have not read this one. Strangers in the Promised Land by Jim Wilborn. I have not read this one either, but really enjoyed The Seventh Cadence. And I also have The Emperor's Soul by Brandon Sanderson, which I have read and really, really enjoy. So as you can see, I do have novellas on my shelves. I have them, but I can also tell you they're not the first things I reach for. So the ones that I've read and enjoyed were later kind of ruined. For the main part that I started to like a character. I felt introduced to them. And then you get to the story and you find out that it's so far in the future, or you just don't get the meat, or those characters that you spent all that time with, you no longer have any vested interest in what they're doing because their role has completely changed when you get to the novel. And that's how I feel. When I get into the novels, like I love being immersed into the worlds. I love the stories. And sometimes you get these side characters that I know the authors have fallen in love with, that readers fall in love with, and you want to know more about them. You want to. And I know it brings up all this. I want the novella of that character. Here's my biggest issue. I love reading because of the imagination factor of it. I like seeing if I can predict where the story is going to go, of what that story may be. And with some of those side characters that I've fallen in love with, I come up with multiple theories and stories. The best example I have is you kind of have those stories, like think Name of the Wind, the first binding, and it's the character kind of relating their story from the past, and you find out that what happened to them, it has been embellished over time as their legend grows. And to me, that's what I feel like my imagination is with those side characters. I create some wild, wild things. Then I read the novella, and it's not that it's not good or not great, but it just doesn't hit that hype that I had built up in my mind. And it falls very, very flat, which then ruins the main series. It ruins that character for me. And so I've had multiple times where this has happened to me, and I don't like feeling that way. I want to know more about that world. I want to know more about that story of the main series. But the novella kind of ruined that factor for me. I brought a prop with me this time. I'm going to make all of you mad at me. I made cookies just for this. This is a warm chocolate chip cookie that I can break, pull apart, see the melted chocolate inside. You guys can picture how it tastes. I know you're going to crave it, you're going to want it, and you're going to want that flavor in your mouth. Just drinking it with that cold glass of milk or whatever beverage you choose. But it's there, you can taste it. Just like this. So now that you have the image of that warm chocolate chip cookie, like fresh from whoever made it for you, grandma, mom, you, the chef in the restaurant, what have you, a novella to me is going and buying like the Chips Ahoy or the store-bought chocolate chip cookie. It's just not the same. It looks the same, kind of resembles it, but it doesn't taste as good as that homemade, like natural ingredients, like goodness in your mouth. And that's what novellas are to me. They are the store-bought cookie. They satisfy the itch when you really have it, but they do not fulfill the overall craving for me. Once again, I don't want the authors to think that I'm bashing them or that I hate their novellas. I respect the work that they've done. They've crafted that story. That is the literal interpretation of that. But for me, it's not good. Anyway, what are your guys' thoughts on novellas? Do you love novellas? I know there's several people out there that would love, and they reach for a novella first before they reach for the novel. Do you think they're great, like introductory things? Do they scratch an itch for you? I want to hear your thoughts. Like, I am open for this discussion. Like, let's have it. You can mention it in the comments down below. You can reach out to me via DM or in the Page Turner Discord, where I have a dedicated section where you can pick up the Middle of Nowhere role and communicate with me directly. I check on it daily and look forward to your thoughts there. Reach out to me that way. Personal DMs. You can unsubscribe if you really hate this, but this is the time where I will say, please give me a like and a subscribe, especially if it's interesting. Like I said, I don't judge you for reading them, enjoying them. This is just my personal take on what a novella is. I hope the authors that are watching keep writing those novellas. I had this discussion with Troy. I think he understood. He personally told me that he was going to keep writing novellas, and I said, good, do it. Like, that's it. You guys have that talent. Keep doing it. Just don't plan on me reaching for it first. Till next time, guys, as always, happy reading and stay great.